So is the microphone better for camera?
Or else I would have to be a lot closer. We want that strong doctor report basically, they might have to check their mantra. Today, they usually check the
I'm sorry, I'm so weak. She knows today's her day. Want me to help you? Is this an audience?
Good luck today, my man, all right?
Are they coming to watch?
I guess here it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good day, Mrs. Waisa. Welcome to Miss Waisa's class. Let me get you both some seats.
Are you guys here to watch? Yeah. Okay, you guys can take over this whole section. Alright, let's use appropriate library decorum etiquette. Nice stand.
Welcome, Mrs. Waisa. You have a good day, all right? Pleasure to see you in your class. Yeah, we're gonna need that. Got an audience, a bigger one. Not just teachers.
It stopped blinking. It did? Yeah.
What's coming up?
So the next time you get a chance, I want everybody to take a walk, okay? Just late at night, okay? Not too late though, not past your bedtime. I want you to go out late at night, and on a nice clear night, I want you to go outside, take a walk, and look up, okay? When you look up, you're gonna see something really amazing. Now, it might not seem like much to you, but if you really think about it, it's gonna be amazing. So you look up and you see, you know, these deep dark colors and, you know, deep dark blues and a really black sky, and then you look really closely and you'll see these white little twinkling stars, okay? And all those stars are millions of light years away, and it's really amazing what you'll see. You don't know if those are planets, if those are stars, if those are galaxies. Now, if you really, you know, study it, and if you get into it, you'll be able to figure out what that stuff is. But it's just really cool to look up and to really see what's out there. And you'll probably see something that's pretty amazing. So the vastness of our universe and even just our galaxy is really incomprehensible to our minds as of right now. But we can imagine and we can think and we can, you know, see in our minds what's out there. And we can look up and we can just see what's out there, which is really amazing. So when we think of the size of everything, and then we think of our little tiny blue planet that we live on, it's tiny. So like a little speck of dust, even smaller compared to the entire universe. So that gives us so much opportunity for adventure and so much opportunity to explore beyond what we just have here. when Columbus set sail across the Atlantic Ocean, he really didn't have a clear idea of what he was going to find. Now, he thought he would find India, but of course that's not what he wound up finding. But he had that sense of adventure. He took that leap across this expanse of unknown. And we have no more unknown to explore other than space. That's what we have left. So as humans, as we are as a race, we have that knack to explore, we have that sense of adventure, and we have that idea that going beyond what we have now is what we're meant to do. It is what we're meant to do, as we've seen in the past. So now, of course, this isn't what you're going to see when you go, take your walk late at night, but that is what is out there. That's, obviously, part of our galaxy. So in 2010, the space shuttle program was canceled due to major funding cuts towards NASA, which is extremely unfortunate. But this was one of the earlier shuttle launches in 1998, and it's really actually pretty sad to see such a masterpiece kind of just fall under, or get swept underneath the rug, and no longer be used anymore. So due to this lack of funding, the U.S. is now unable to support deep space travel, and up until now we haven't sent a rocket into space that has been manned, of course, since 2010. So currently, we rely on the Russians, the Russian Space Agency, their Soyuz rocket, to be transported to the International Space Station, which is a crucial science research laboratory that is currently orbiting our planet right now, and there are astronauts up in there. And they do all kinds of research. They do things from sustainability on the human body in space for long periods of time, which they actually are just finishing up now. They had an American astronaut that was staying in the International Space Station for a whole year, which is the longest ever. And they're going to study how that affects the body, which is really, really interesting. And they even do things like 3D printing. So it's really interesting to see the things that they're doing right now. Now, granted, of course, due to this cut in funding, they have been doing less than they were in the past. But it's still really important that we keep these resources that we have, and that we continue to use the International Space Station, because believe me, it's very important. So back to the size of our galaxy, and there's this analogy that I love to use. There are more galaxies in the universe than there are grains of sand on the planet. So think about that for a second. All the deserts, all of the beaches that you've been to, there's a lot of sand there. It's tiny. Sand is really small. And so if you take that into consideration, there are more galaxies. We're just a little tiny, our solar system is a little tiny dot on a far-reaching arm of our galaxy. So if you really think about that, there's a lot of galaxies out there and a lot to explore. So this is showing the percentage of funding towards NASA since about 1955, which is when the American space race really kind of started. So as we can see, during the first moon landing in 1969, since then, funding has really dropped a lot, and now we're in 2015, 2016 now, and funding gets little to no government money. So it's really unfortunate to see that, but the way I like to put it is NASA has a card up their sleeve. So they said, forget your government, we don't need your money, we have other resources. So there's just another picture of the space shuttle. So what I mean by when they have a card up their sleeve is we have private companies that are now coming in and starting to take over the space industry. And I have right here, these are some of the major companies right here that are involved in this new space race. So essentially what happens is NASA provides the resources that they already have, and the supplies that these companies need to get to space. So Spacex, which is right in the top left-hand corner right there, is probably one of the biggest right now. And you've probably heard of them because they've been pretty popular in the news right now. But I don't know if you guys know Tesla Motors. This is the same guy. He's probably one of my biggest role models. His name is Elon Musk, and he's the owner of Tesla Motors, who make that really awesome, nice electric car that I would love to have. And he's also the owner of SpaceX. And SpaceX is probably one of the companies that has created one of the most eco-friendly and user-friendly rockets to date. And it's really awesome because this rocket is able to take off, stage from the main capsule, and come back down and actually land on a barge in the ocean and be reused. Whereas traditional rockets in the past would just stage and burn up in the atmosphere, and that would be it. You wouldn't be able to reuse them again. But now you can, instead of wasting all these resources, you can reuse these rockets and use them over and over and over again, and it's just really, really, really cool. Other companies such as Boeing, who of course they make planes, but they're also trying to get involved in this new age space race. ESA, which is the European Space Agency, so they're trying to get involved, of course. They're not, as active as we are, as NASA is, but they are still trying to get ahead. Virgin Airlines and Cygnus Air. So these are all companies that are coming in and saying, here's money, here's resources, here's information that we have, and they're all passionate, and their goal in the long run is to get to Mars. So they all want to get to Mars. That's what they want to do, and that's the next step that we need to take. So NASA is currently in the process, and of course in cooperation with these companies, is in the process of creating the SLS, which is the Space Launch System. And that's a depiction of it right now. And they're currently in the process of building it right now. A lot of you might not know that, but this rocket is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Apollo rockets, the Saturn V rockets. And this has the ability to get astronauts to Mars. And we've actually had this technology for a really long time, but due to that funding, those funding cuts, we just haven't invested our time and our resources into this. So interestingly enough, a test launch for this rocket is actually set to happen in 2017. Now that's kind of tentative, since anything could happen in this day and age. But an unmanned test flight is set to happen in 2017. And the capsule they're actually using is the SpaceX Dragon capsule. So with that, we can see that SpaceX is coming in, and they're providing their capsule, and NASA builds the rocket. So it's really really cool to see that happening. But that is the Space Launch System right there. And there are a lot of places that you can go and see these launches too. I myself, I've never had the opportunity to see a launch myself. I would love to have been able to see a space shuttle, but that just obviously isn't going to happen now. But if you are interested, there's a lot of places nearby, not so nearby, that you can go see launches go on every single day. So there's supply missions that go to the International Space Station from Wallops Flight Facility, which is owned by NASA, and that's in Virginia. So I don't know if you keep up with that, but you can go online and you can watch these launches happen probably about once a month. So these supply missions are going to the International Space Station, and they're still happening, and they're being funded by these private companies. In Cape Canaveral, this is where the SLS is actually set to launch in 2017, and this is something that's going to be huge. This is the future of American spaceflight right here, and this is so important because as humans we have that knack to evolve, and it's what we're meant to do. No matter how you look at it, it's what we've done, and it's what we are going to do. I know a lot of people aren't very interested in space and in NASA and all that stuff, but it's going to be the future of our species, and our next step in evolving is going to space. further and going to Mars and continuing on, and it's what we're meant to do. So this is all really, really exciting, at least for me it is, and seeing these private agencies come in, and they're so passionate about going to space and going to Mars, it's really exciting, and we are all probably in the presence of a new space race. So watch out, because it's coming hard.
Hi. So, before the next group comes up, I've been advised to tell a joke. So, if Leonardo DiCaprio were to get his head cut off, would he be decapitated? Also, atoms should never be trusted with anything, because they make up everything. I should save the rest for later because I'm running out. So, before Courtney comes up, the title of her TED Talk is going to be Gender Norms and Bathroom Rights.
Okay guys, so as you can see by my slide, I'm going to be talking about basically what it's like to be genderqueer and basically be lying on the spectrum of gender. So as you can see here, there's a lot of different kinds of sexualities, and people often get confused between what's the difference between being of a different gender, sexual orientation and being of a different gender than just a male or female. A lot of people don't recognize that there's a lot to be in between. There's a lot of different ways people can be. All right, there doesn't have to be just two set sides. There's always gray in the middle. There's never just black or white. Okay. So who am I? I'm going to tell you about how I found myself and what it was like. So get prepared for some not so great photos of me. So as you can see here, I was your tomboy, okay, as a kid growing up. Very neutral clothes. I liked to be in t-shirts, shorts, jeans, hiking boots mostly, sneakers, you know, just the run-of-the-mill tomboy girl. You know, playing in the mud. I hated Barbies. I'd much rather play with G.I. Joes. All right, any Barbies I did have, you know, I made sure that they were basically secret agents, and the G.I. Joes would take them out, basically. So, this is me in middle school, you know. Middle school was a hard time. It was where I started developing depression. 7th grade year was the worst year of my life. I was being severely bullied. I didn't know who I was. I was hiding myself a lot. I didn't know who I was. I was trying to figure it out. I was really confused all the time. My two best friends stopped talking to me, and I felt alone. And this is really kind of a pivotal moment for me with my depression. And it's a really big thing in my life. I still have problems with it, but I've overcome it. I'm overcoming it, and I'm still working on it. But this is a part where you need to recognize that a lot of people aren't alone in this, especially people who are on the LGBTQ plus spectrum. Basically, LGBT youth are 3 times more likely to have mental illnesses, whether it be major depression or anxiety problems. They're age 10 to 24 have a leading suicide rates. Basically, that's their leading cause of death. All right, between age 10 and 24. Just because problems with coming out to family, just depression problems, being bullied at school. It's a really big problem, and it's an issue that we really need to start looking at. A lot of people are losing their lives and dealing with these problems, and they feel alone in the world. And it's really a tough situation. Basically, transgender individuals, depending on where they live, they're 38 to 65% more likely to experience suicidal thoughts compared to cisgender people. And the LGBTQ plus community, bisexuals, and people who are on the gender expansive spectrum are have far higher rates of depression and suicide rates. And we also need to recognize that just in America alone, there are approximately, there's over actually, 700,000 transgender Americans. And that's just in America, and there's more. And you have to realize that the rest of that gender expansive scale, there's tons of us all across the world. And we are not being looked at the same, and we are being treated way differently. And especially in a lot of cultures where it's dangerous. Even in our country, there's a lot of places that it's dangerous for us to come out and feel safe. Okay? So middle school was definitely not the greatest of times, but then we move on to early on in my high school career. This was sophomore year. High school, I started changing a lot. I was trying to be more true to myself. I was still trying to figure myself out because I was really confused. But high school was basically a fresh start for middle school. Middle school had been a really awful time, and I had promised myself that I was never going to let my depression get that bad again, and I was never going to let that define me and basically change me and make me hide from who I am anymore. So then we go to junior year, just last year, okay? This was before I came out as bi, and as you might guess by my awkward posing, I am not comfortable in that dress. I chose that dress, it was the only dress I liked, but I was still not comfortable in it. Yeah, dresses aren't my thing. I don't know how to really move in them. I don't like them. I just feel really out of place. I feel just not at home in my own skin. And I wish I could just kind of crawl out of my body when I'm in a dress. But I dealt with it and got through it. But it wasn't the best of times. So then we go to after I came out as bi, and also after I started playing more with my gender identity, because basically my step was to figure out what I liked in other people and who I liked first, before I really figured out who I was in gender. For me, it came after. So this was the first time I got my hair cut a little bit shorter. This was the most confident I had ever felt. Cutting my hair off was the first step for me. I felt like a whole new person. I felt at ease with myself. I just felt comfortable for the first time in a really, really, really long time, probably since I was a little kid and I didn't know what anything like that meant. So now we're coming to now. This is me and my girlfriend Hannah. Everybody can say hi, she's watching right now. She's given me a lot of confidence. She is also gender fluid, and she's helped me a lot to find confidence in myself, confidence in the way I look, and the way I dress. As you know, there's not many people who dress like me in our school and who act like me, especially in our part of New Jersey. There's not that many people. So finding her was a really big help to me, and she does a lot for me. And she just really helps me feel comfortable and at ease, and I don't feel alone, okay? So basically, this is me standing in front of you right now, all right? I'm in a men's shirt, I'm in a men's tie, and just jeans and boots, okay, which are kind of just neutral, all right? Basically, going like this, standing in front of you, and is, you know, comfortable for me. I enjoy looking this way. I enjoy just being me, all right? But I do face problems sometimes, okay? Bathrooms are a situation. They're a little bit tricky. You know, there's a few funny stories that I'm going to tell you. So one time I was dressed in a suit, and I was going to an event for my college, and it was at this really fancy like hotel. It was like a reception where we were going to meet a few of each other and everything. And I'm in this hotel, and I'm like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. So, you know, I'm going to walk to the bathroom, and I'm walking there. And, you know, I'm in a suit, like suit, tie, jacket, everything, like whole 9 yards. I was feeling good, you know? So I was walking to the bathroom, and I'm walking to the women's room, and all I hear from behind me is, "It's to your left. It's to your left." And I'm like, what is, I didn't think it was talking to me. And all of a sudden I like turn around, and he's like, "Sir, it's to your left." And I was like, I did not have a penis. So that was an interesting thing, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and it was like the manager of this hotel, and he was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired, like, I am so sorry, and he's like, "Can I get you anything? I am so sorry." And I was laughing, because I thought it was really funny. But, you know, sometimes I have experiences like that, which aren't really a big deal, but just this weekend, I mean, I wasn't even in really, like, I wasn't in a suit or tie, right? I was just in like a t-shirt, some gym shorts, you know, just chilling, you know, baseball cap. I was at Dorney. I'm in the bathroom, and there's like this family that come in, and you know, mom and her two girls, and her one little girl's like looking at me, and I'm like, I know what's coming. I know what's coming. She's like, Mom, is that a boy? And her mom's like, shh. She's like, but, Mom. She's like, and then her mom starts looking. It's like really confused, and they're kind of like just standing at the stall door, like not going in yet. And I'm just like kind of like looking in the mirror, you know, just like chilling. I didn't really want to deal with it, so you know, I just like pull my shirt back, you know, and like just to let them know that, you know, I got a little in front. So then they were like, oh, okay, and like they get in the stall, you know, and I just hear like, she's like, I'll explain later, it's okay. You know, so that's the stuff that happens. So, you know, not all situations are bad like that, but basically there is people who do make problems and make more problems. So basically this is my 3-step program for dealing with haters. Okay, if we would change. All right. So basically, be calm, know your facts, and when it's safe, level with them. So I'm going to explain this. So be calm. You can never win an argument if you are angry or aggressive. You're not going to change anybody's mind that way. This is for any argument, okay? But definitely if you're in this situation or you're dealing with somebody who's just being mean, okay? Just be calm with them. That's the only way you can reason. Know your facts. Know your stuff. Know what you're saying. Know what you're talking about, okay? If you lay some, you know, numbers on them, how can they argue? And it's safe, level with them. If it's safe and you are comfortable with it and you don't think you're in a dangerous situation, you should tell them about how you feel. What's your personal story? So like I'm telling you, I told you my personal story, how I kind of figured out who I was. Tell them, because then sometimes people just they don't understand because they don't know. They don't know somebody's story. They don't know what it's like. So if you tell them, it's easier to change their mind sometimes. So basically, this is where I want you guys to come in too. All right. So basically, this is a map of our United States, obviously, So states that have laws and policies for gender markers, changes on driver license and birth certificates, there's a really, really small number of them. All the gray states have nothing, okay? So when we're looking at that, that's a lot of people who are getting stuck in situations and are just not going to be happy because they can't change who they are to who they feel inside to match. And it's even less for transgender healthcare, okay? There is a lot of states that have, like, no bans on exclusions to transgender people. That's a lot of people who cannot get hormones and operations that they need to feel happy with themselves and to feel safe in their own skin. So basically, how to help people who are gender expansive spectrum or transgender, or just how to be a good ally. So basically, what I want you to think about is basically standing up and talking. So if you hear somebody say something that's rude or anything like that, stand up, say like, no, that's wrong, don't say that. If they say something that's rude, offensive term, slur, tell them that's not right, okay? Sometimes people just don't know. Also use correct pronouns and names, okay? So a lot of you might not know, I would go by she, her, they, them, okay? A lot of you wouldn't know about the last two probably. But use what they prefer, use the name that they want. Just make them happy because like that's all they want. They just want to be who they are to their true self. And basically too, my last thing for being a good ally is standing up with, not speaking over, okay? So if you are not on the gender expansive spectrum or you're not transgender, you don't know what it's like to be in somebody's shoes, okay? So basically help them speak, help lift their voices up. You can't be like, oh, well this happens and this happens, because you don't know. But lift somebody else's voice up who lives through it, okay? So that is all. Thank you very much for your time.
So that's going to be it for today, but I guess before we're done I can say one more joke. What should I say? What did the buffalo say to his son before he went off to college? Bison. And I forget the other one, so yeah. That's, oh wait, no, I remember it. Why couldn't the bike stand up by itself? No. Because it was too tired.
Oh, that's clever. Hey, our class just, do we want the furniture moved? All right, we're going to go back to 202. This Spacex class, thanks for coming, and thanks for great audience members. Thank you. Gracias.
Sam.
Better.